And if you need a coach, holler at us.
Shameless plug. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coaches on Couch.
Bing slouches.
It's pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. So today we're going to talk about the benefits of having a coach to the non-competitive athlete, or the person that doesn't consider themselves competitive, or we had the question, we asked for questions, we asked for topics, and we actually had some good ones come in we'll probably use down the road.
Yep.
But one was basically, I'm not a pro. I don't have any desire to go pro. I don't have,
I don't think I have the ability to be a pro.
Right.
I'm just trying to get better kind of day-to-day sort of thing.
Yeah. So, is there any reason that I should seek a coach? So we'll talk about that. The answer is yes, obviously. Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, I'm Coach Dale Sanford.
And I am Coach Bryant Funston. We are the co-founders of BPC Performance Coaching, where we specialize in helping time-crunched athletes optimize their busy schedules so they can maximize their athletic performance. Every BPC coach is trained in our 5 pillars coaching system that has been developed over the last decade through our work with athletes of all ages and ability levels, from fresh off the couch to world championship competitors. You can find out more about BPC by going to buildpeakcompete.com, checking Facebook and YouTube at buildpeakcompete, or all up on that Instagram at BPC Performance.
Killed it. All right.
Hashtag nailed it.
We'll get on to the topic of the day. But first, shout-outs.
My favorite part. I always like the shout-outs.
We had...
celebrating our athletes.
Yeah, Mite Triathlon was last weekend. I had a bit of FOMO while we were sitting here we're on the group ride.
Yep.
But had some good performances out there. Phillip Young's 4th overall. Chris Watts, 7th overall. Greg Rohde was 2nd age group. I forget where he finished in the overall. Jessica Wang was 1st in her age group. And then Tim Linn, who we'll be working with for the foreseeable future, was there on an exhibition. He had the fastest splits across the board.
Yep.
Swim, bike, and run that day. It was a little bit of a slow day. I think the wind was like crosshead.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Point-to-point race. Yeah, battling crosshead the whole way.
Yeah, it was rough.
That's not so fun.
Bike splits were much slower than last year, at least.
Yeah.
And then,
which goes to show you can't just use time as the marker of performance.
Yeah, I mean the time. The bike being the longest portion of the race. Mm-hmm. If the bike is affected by the wind and it's minutes slower, you could be faster in everything else and still have a slower time.
Yeah. So. Or power could be a lot better, and yet you think if you're just going off average speed, you think, oh man, did I get less fit this year?
Right. Yeah. The athlete brain. A wonder.
Exactly. I got a shout out for Sally Landham. She went over and did the Eurekan, which we talked about last week. Hot.
Yeah.
Super hot, like dangerously hot the entire weekend. I saw on the Garmin on Training Peaks, it had 120 as one of the peaks. Granted, it was probably getting some direct sun.
Yeah.
But still, I think the heat index was like 110 or so.
I always found that my Garmin temps read low.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, super hot. So she ended up 4th overall. So great effort there from her on a miserable weekend.
Yeah. I got another one. Liz Hall, who someday we'll have her on the couch. She ran her fastest mile. We have a thing that happens every year called the Mug Mile, and people come out and they throw down their fastest mile possible. And so Liz went and threw down her fastest mile of all time and was finished 2nd overall female, 1st in her age group, 2nd overall female. So that's great for her. And then our buddy Kirsten went up with Amy Dixon at Para Tri Nats, and they took it. Took the top step.
Yep.
So congrats to
they've had a
Amy
few good
and
results the
Kirsten.
past few weeks. So they're trying to make it to the Olympics.
To Tokyo.
To Tokyo, yeah. Good luck to them in that.
Absolutely. So we have another good luck here for athletes going up to Ohio 70.3. So everyone headed up there. Good luck, and hopefully this good weather is gonna hold.
And good luck to those going to the Tennessee State Road Race this weekend as well. So good luck to you all.
So we got to talk a second just before we get on the topic is if you are training for a late season full iron or half iron, and that's pretty much Ironman Chattanooga, Augusta 70.3, Louisville. There's Florida, Arizona. Several other late season half and full iron distance races. There's a couple local ones too, regional ones. If you're training for one of those, our long course tri-camp is coming up September 6th through the 8th. We're going to have a really awesome 3 days of volume, and we've scaled it. I know some of the feedback we've gotten that it's like intimidating to go to a tri-camp, but we've got it figured out to where everything's going to be scaled. All the longest efforts are going to be looping and scaled to where, like, if you're doing a half, you can get 50 to 60 or 40 to 60 miles. And if you're doing a full, you can get 100, 80 to 100 or whatever you need in doing the loops and still have it fully supported. Mm-hmm. And then, so all ability levels are welcome. Again, that's September 6th through the 8th. And here's the thing. If you've ever looked into a tri-camp, most of the time, the camps are like thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Our camp's going to be $400, and that's fully supported training all weekend, includes dinners, and we also are having Kirsten Sass as a coach with us at the camp. We're actually
going to be bringing a lot of experience for sure.
She's bringing a ton of experience to the table, and then we're also base camping at her
compound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the Vogler Performance Center,
the Winkler Performance Center.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to be base camped there, and so most of the rides and runs will either be from that point or from the Carroll County 1,000-acre lake recreation area up in Huntington. So it's going to be an awesome weekend. So we hope to get a really good group and make this a yearly thing to help prepare everybody for those late season long course races. The elevation profile is if you're doing Chattanooga, the 100-mile ride route that we have set out, elevation profile is almost spot on gain to Chattanooga. So you'll be ready for sure.
There we go.
And the run's no different. We've got a rolling run to prepare you for that up and down run there.
We've said it before. If you're doing long course stuff, long distance stuff, it's the big days. You can't skimp out on. So
can't miss long stuff.
Guaranteed big volume, which is going to benefit your results big time.
So if you're looking at this, if you can see the screen, it's buildpeakcompete.com/tricamp. So tricamp's one word. So buildpeakcompete.com/tricamp.
TRI.
Yeah.
Not like
TRI.
TRI camp. I'm sure they knew that.
All right.
Cool.
Let's get
Let's get into it.
So this is actually, the reason why we jumped on this is not that so we could have like a whole episode of a shameless plug. Mm-hmm. But we get this question a lot.
But it is.
Yep, totally is. So we actually get asked this question a lot, whether it's at seminars or events or whatever. It's basically, I'm not competitive. I'm not a pro. I'm not that serious. Some people are like, I don't race. Yada yada. There's all these different things that are pretty much the same excuse for not having a coach. But realistically, if you're internally competitive in any way, shape, or form, and that kind of creates a drive for you to be like a better version of yourself and continue to improve on anything.
I think that's the big thing right there. Like if your goal is to each day be a little bit better than you were before, and you have some long-term goals, whether it's to stay fit, get more fit,
Yeah.
live a very functional lifestyle where you're able to go hike or run or go on vacation and be active with grandkids or whatever it may be. I mean, if those are your goals, a coach can be of value to you.
Yeah, I think people lose. They see coaching as like all of the elite athletes have a coach. All the upper level amateurs have a coach. To be honest, that's like it's not a huge portion of the people that we actually work with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the folks that we work with are really just they're using these sports, endurance sports, to stay fit, stay healthy and age gracefully. And it's maybe not the number one thing in their life too. I mean, for some of them, but they want to work it in so that they can, have the benefits, the health benefits to doing all this physical activity. So really, if you want to improve in anything, whether it's your health or your speed on the bike or your speed on the run, or you want to run farther or you want to do something, if you want to be quicker, fitter, stronger, faster, or go farther, those, if you have goals in those, areas, that's a coach can totally help with that.
Yep.
So we'll just run down some of the top reasons, top benefits that we believe of having a coach. In general, some of them are more specific to people who don't necessarily consider themselves competitive.
Yep. And some of this is like direct feedback from athletes when we've asked them, what is the biggest value you've gotten out of having a coach? And, some of the things we're going to be talking about comes from their responses.
Yeah. So the number one, and these aren't in any really particular order.
No.
One of them is goal setting. So a lot of people, they do activity, but they have no idea why they're doing it.
Yep.
Or if what they're doing is actually going to help them improve the things that they want to improve in. So a coach can help you set a goal, whether it's a health marker, something about your weight, or to complete an event, or to just do a certain amount of mileage, or anything like that. They can help you set those goals and then help you keep your eye on the prize, and keep you thinking long term.
Yep.
Realistically, if you're going to embark on a journey with a coach, that coach wants you to have long-term goals and wants to have something that's like far-reaching to like kind of keep you motivated. So if we just set a goal for somebody that's, hey, we're going to go do this one triathlon, and we prepare you for that, even if you're not competitive, you're just looking to finish, you get done, and then it's like, okay, done.
Now, bucket list, check. Yeah, now
see
what?
Ya.
Yeah.
And then, you stop the sport and you gain 20 pounds and do nothing for months. Like, no coach wants that to happen. So, we can help you set those goals and then keep you focused on those goals and then the little tiny ones that help us get there.
Exactly.
But there has to be a far-reaching one that's not an event, it's kind of like your why. Like you have to, why do you want to even be healthy?
Yep.
Like, so that's usually what,
and that's why we usually aren't wanting athletes to, and we know people want to lose weight, but we generally do not like having losing weight be your end-all be-all goal, because there's things that can affect that. You can be gaining muscle, losing fat, and yet not seeing a change on the scale.
And then what happens when you lose the weight?
And what happens once you get there? Yeah, exactly. So we like having either an event or some strength-specific goals or something like that, but then also have those short, intermediate, and long-term goals to kind of keep you stair-stepping towards becoming that better version of yourself on a weekly, monthly, yearly, decade, century basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Realistically, you probably live to about 200-300.
Yeah,
so
with modern technology.
We got to keep these goals coming.
And our level of income.
So the next thing that kind of we've always seen as a huge benefit is the integration of your chosen sports activities into your life scenario, instead of like trying to go off of like a program that somebody's built. Like, yeah, there's all kinds of free things online. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But they weren't made for you, and they weren't made for your level, and they weren't made for your life scenario, the time of days that you have to work out, and the days, the times, the durations like are not specific to you. So you're just not going to get the most out of like a cookie cutter free program.
Yeah.
Whereas a coach, when we break down like your life scenario, we're looking at what's your work life like? How much do you work?
How stressful is that work?
How stressful is that?
How much travel is involved with that work?
Like what's your family scenario? How many kids do you have? How many pets do you have? How many
do your kids play sports? What are the demands there?
Yeah, and then once we look at this, we can we create a weekly structure that fits that. And then if at all possible, we keep that structure intact so that we can create a routine around that. And so that the odds of you getting in those training sessions are much higher than going willy-nilly every single week. There are people we work with that their schedule literally changes every week. And so it is a constant look at, okay, what is this week coming up? Okay, where can we fit it in this week? And it's all over the place.
And this is one less thing that you as an individual have to can take off your plate. Trying to figure out what should you be doing on any given day. If you're spending 15, 20, 30 plus minutes like, oh crap, I need to work out today, what am I supposed to do? Like I was chatting with one athlete just the other day. They're like, one of the things I really like is that if I were to just like hop on a trainer and have an hour, I'd end up spinning. But actually having the structure in there not only makes it go faster, but I get a better workout, and I'm so much more productive with my exercise, or my training than I would be otherwise.
Well, this is the typical thing that happens in people who are self-coached or whatever.
Especially someone just in like the general fitness.
Right. You get up and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to work out today. I'll figure it out when I have the time. And either day goes by and you now say, well, I don't have the time, or you get there and you probably spend the first 15 minutes trying to figure out what you're going to do. And then the time that you have to work out just gets diluted basically. And it's just not as productive. It's just, so what we try to do is just, we find those holes. We find the time that you didn't think you had, and we'll put the most quality into those times possible.
Keeping you accountable to your goal that was set prior to that gives you that extra bit of motivation, to make sure you're hitting that.
And the one thing that we always try to do, especially with like people who don't consider themselves real competitive or whatever, we try to integrate the fun stuff as much as possible, because everybody it's the social aspect of endurance sports. It's part of the fun of it. So group rides, group runs, like any kind of group trainings, like training races, fun races, just for the fun of it, and not, going to, kill it or anything like that. But we try to mix that kind of stuff as much as possible with the other specific work that it's going to take to reach whatever goal you have. That's for a lot of people, that's kind of a shock, because they think that if they take on a coach, the coach is just going to give them structure, day in, day out. This is what you have to do. Like
we've only had a few people in the course of our 10 years now of coaching that can mentally stay in it with that much structure. And it may be like the ideal program would be, if you're a cyclist, getting on the trainer and knocking out very structured intervals based around your strengths and weaknesses and limiters. But most people, vast majority of people, get so burnt out and bored and want to shoot themselves, that the relationship and their long-term dedication to the sport kind of wanes, and eventually it's like, man, I just need to ride. Like, so we've, over the course of our years, have learned much better how to blend the structure, including structure during some group activities, but the main goal is to keep you going. Like, this isn't a 3 months and done. This is we want you healthy. We want you improving. And if we're thinking 3 years versus 3 months, there's a lot more flexibility there.
Yeah. Don't get caught up on the short term. The structure in the short term, you may improve a little bit slower, but you're going to have more fun doing it. You're going to be mentally more ready to continue to do the training over a long period of time, rather than, like you said, we give you 8 weeks of structure and you're toast, like mentally toast. So yeah, I mean, sometimes the improvements come a little slower, but you're still having fun with it, and still wanting to do it. So that's really one of the big goals that when we take on a new person, it's, okay, we want you to, it's bad for business if you are with us 3 months and reach a goal and you're done or whatever. So
yeah, we've sort of done a disservice really in that regards to you and your long-term.
Sure. So, I mean, it's better for everybody if we think long-term and keep it focused on long-term. So the next big one, which is kind of meshes with all of this, is time management. Like, this is probably the biggest feedback that we get is just kind of not having to spend the time that they used to spend either planning their own training, analyzing their own data, researching race courses or
different
event
training
courses.
Methodology, and the
time spent or time saved not having to do all that stuff because that's what you're paying a coach to do. It means you can either train more, you can spend more time with your friends and family. Over the years, I'd say that's probably the biggest.
And you have the confidence in knowing that what you're doing on that day is what you should be doing on that day. There's no guessing anymore. So it's like, I know that this is in line with a long-term plan for me to achieve my goals based on my strengths and weaknesses. And so I just show up, knock out the workout, and I know I'm going to be walking that path of improvement.
Right. It's like, taking basically the way we structure training, we take over pretty much everything. We take over the workouts. We tell you the strength training to do, and we tell you when to rest. So that's like a huge thing that self-coach people fail to do, is rest, because they either don't know how to dial it back, period, or they don't ever feel like they got in enough of a training load because they're training so sporadic, because they can't get the structure down. They're training so sporadic that they don't feel like they need to take rest, until you run into an issue. So
having that extra set of eyes looking over your program. That's a lot of times where there's, a lot of coaches have a coach, and it's not because they don't know how to plan a program. It's just for that extra set of eyes to look in and maybe see some stuff that you aren't even noticing, with regards to your health and fitness.
I mean, it's basically taking the entire thought process out of your training. I mean, there's really nothing to think about. Whenever we set a training program up in Training Peaks, it literally day to day, you're told what to do. I mean, and you'll get it early so that you already can plan for it the next day and be ready and knock it out. There's just nothing. There's really not much to think about. So another big part is just having the accountability factor of knowing somebody's looking at your workouts, looking over your shoulder, can jump in if they see something might be wrong, or you have a question that, like, you're not feeling so hot or whatever. you have somebody to springboard those things off of that knows how to deal with them.
Yep.
It's not like you telling your other ride buddies, man, I'm just not feeling really good today, and I don't know why. Like, you know, but a coach, if you describe what's going on and they can see your data, they can help figure out what's going on then and there. And it could not be it could just be a day thing. It could be a more serious thing that's cropping up, but you always have somebody to bounce those feelings and thoughts and concerns off of, and that helps your training and your program become way more fluid and dialed in. And so those improvements actually come faster because the coach can say, ease off.
Yep.
Don't be a dummy.
We've said so many times that consistency is kind of king, right? So the extra accountability of getting in a workout that you may not have done, you would have blown off if you're holding yourself accountable, knowing that someone else is going to be taking a peek and going, did you get that in? And if not, why were you not able to get that in? We've been told numerous times, like just knowing and not wanting to have to say, well, I got lazy, or I didn't want to do it, or gets them that day, that extra workout, that extra consistency that they would not have had otherwise. And we've said it a lot, that sometimes it's just that one workout each week that you're doing now that you weren't doing before that can be the difference in staying stagnant or, improving or even falling off.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy when nobody's going to know but you. If you put off that hard workout or that workout that's actually going to help you improve versus the ones that you're really good at or the things that you want to do.
Yep. And then your coach is there to give you a high five when you kick butt. Like most people are pretty humble and don't want to go around bragging about their race results or their power numbers or their
really good point,
or their new fastest mile or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Or the fact that you've really been dialing in your nutrition and you lost a few pounds. Like most people don't want to hear about it, but your coach does, and your coach celebrates that. Your coach is excited for you. We say like we would much rather have our athletes do well and achieve their goals than us go and have a great race weekend. And it's like the most stressful, like, a person's prepared, but you're really hoping things come together on race day for an athlete who's been putting in the work. Whatever that goal may be, it may just be completion of, an epic event or something. But we're always like kind of on pins and needles, hoping that, everything, that the person's on a good day and nothing unforeseen pops up. But, a coach is there to essentially kind of be your cheerleader as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, because there, some people can't help themselves, but you don't want to be that person that like walks up to somebody and the first thing you start doing is start talking about your recent did you hear how I did last
results
or power numbers or anything like that. Most people don't want to hear it. Unless it's like you're at the race, like, and everybody's like, "Oh, how'd you do?" Like, that's one thing. Yep. But if you start conversations with, "Well, my power last week was," you're gonna lose friends.
Yeah.
But that's a normal conversation with a coach.
Oh, for sure.
And something that, like Brian said, we will celebrate.
For sure,
we always celebrate. Great performances.
Yeah, that's why we like doing the shout outs at the start, so much. It's celebrating our athletes who've been putting in the work.
Yeah, I'm trying to find we got a comment here, but I'm trying to figure out how to get it up here. Yeah.
We'll see if I can find it on the phone.
The other, the other big thing here is, like, let's face it, like any program generally is not going to go 100% to plan. I mean, I've never had that happen.
Which is one of the issues with the pre-built, programs. The 6-week, 8-week, 12-week, do this on each specific day.
Right.
that's kind of the issue with those is like what happens when life happens and you're forced to, you get sick or you have to go on vacation and can't work out. How do you adjust? And, having a coach, that's what we're here for. We're here to, and we've seen it with numerous athletes as well as ourselves. Like we know how to make those tweaks and those adjustments. You don't just start cramming it all together once you get home. Instead, we end up making real-time tweaks to your program to get the most out of either the trip or the travel or the day, but also adjusting the future plan, knowing that either most likely you weren't able to get in the training that you should have gotten in.
Yeah.
Most people get in trouble by you miss a week, and most programs just kind of stair step either volume or intensity. And if you go from 1 week and then it stepped up, and you miss that week and then it steps up again, you may see a 30 or 40% jump in training volume or training stress, and that's a really good way to get hurt.
Yeah.
So
we got Jamie Bailey threw up a good comment. Don't beat the plan.
Yeah.
When it's anytime a coach puts together a custom plan that's built around you, it's balanced for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like everything's been put there for a reason, whether it's a fitness reason, a rest reason, or a mental reason. Like we do think through these things. Mm-hmm. So I would tell people all the time, like especially on hard days, like don't beat the plan unless somewhere in there it says, make the last one your fastest. Like don't try to overdo your there's a balance. So
same on your easy days.
Yeah. Well, especially easy days. Don't beat the
It's okay to ride or run at an endurance level.
Yeah.
It's okay to train easy, folks.
Yeah.
What are we missing? Did we looking at our little thing here? I think that's the bulk of them.
Yeah. It's like as we said, these are things that benefit any athlete really, mm-hmm. But a lot of people they just think that I said I don't really have the time, I'm not competitive, and like all these excuses, but in the back of their head they do want to get better at something. Like mm-hmm. So you may think that your schedule is absolutely nutty and you don't have the time or nobody would ever be able to figure it out. I say try us because we have some people, we coach some people with some stupid, crazy schedules.
Tons of travel.
Yeah, travel, international travel, weekly.
And a big bulk of our athletes are over, the original question was posed by someone who said they're 50 years old. Yep. Big bulk of our athletes are over 50. Yeah. We've got quite a few in the 60s and some in their 70s.
Yeah.
That age demographic can gain a ton of value from having a properly scheduled program, one that's making you do the stuff for your long-term health as well and functional living, the strength training, flexibility, maintaining that high-quality lifestyle and continuing to help you improve and move towards whatever, it may be some sort of performance goal. If you're training and working out, there's likely a reason you're doing that. So
right.
We help bring focus to that, keep you accountable to that, provide that kick in the butt when you need that extra bit of motivation, and then we're there to help you celebrate those successes, big and small, along the way.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think that is it for the day. This was a short one,
mm-hmm.
but we appreciate everyone hanging out, listening, watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.
And if you need a coach, holler at us.
Shameless plug.
plug.
Adios.
Peace.